And welcome to another episode of Live Chat with James here at ProPics TV, coming to you from the studios in Vancouver, British Columbia. We are looking at a number of different stories this evening to bring to you, and we'll start with some local news. To begin with, a deeper look, and we'll continue after the main headlines with a deeper look into the stories that are of importance to you and to the world around us. So let's take a look here at where we are at. So, again, welcome to ProPics TV News. I'm James Cousineau, and thank you for joining us for your midweek news update. We packed a lot into the next little while, so we'll get right to it. We begin right here at home in Surrey with concerns mounting over the proposed development near the Serpentine Fen. Local environmental groups presented a petition to City Council this afternoon, arguing that the high-density housing project would have a detrimental impact on the delicate ecosystem and wildlife in the area. The petition, signed by over 5,000 residents, calls for a comprehensive environmental impact assessment before any further approvals are granted. We got some response from Ania Sharma, who is a spokesperson for the Friends of the Serpentine Fen. Now, she went on to state that the Serpentine Fen is a vital green space in our community. It provides crucial habitat for numerous bird species, acts as a natural flood control, and offers residents a place for recreation and connection with nature. The development is in its current form, which poses a significant threat, and they urge the city to listen to the concerns of the community and prioritize the environmental protection. Now, of course, City Council has acknowledged the petition and stated that they will review it carefully before making a decision. A public hearing on the development is scheduled for next Tuesday evening. In other local news, the Surrey RCMP are investigating a series of break-ins in relation to targeting small businesses in the Newton area. At least 5 businesses reported overnight burglaries, with thieves primarily targeting cash registers and electronic devices. Police have increased patrols in the area and are asking anyone with information to come forward. On a more positive note, the annual Surrey Fusion Festival is just around the corner, taking place next weekend at Holland Park. Organizers are promising a vibrant celebration of multiculturalism with food vendors, live music, and cultural performances representing over 40 countries. Last year's festival attracted record crowds, and this year is expected to be even bigger. We'll have a preview of some of the highlights later in the week, and of course we will bring you some reports from the Surrey Fusion Festival as it happens this weekend. Finally, the Fraser Health Authority has issued an advisory regarding air quality due to ongoing wildfires in the interior of the province. While Metro Vancouver hasn't been directly impacted by the flames, smoke drift is causing hazy conditions and elevated levels of particulate matter. Residents, especially those with respiratory conditions, are advised to take precautions and limit strenuous exercise outdoors. All right, let's move on to some national headlines. Turning our attention to national stories, the ongoing debate surrounding the federal budget continues to dominate discussions in Ottawa. Opposition parties are criticizing the government's spending plans, particularly concerning the allocation of funds for infrastructure projects and social programs. Negotiations are expected to continue this week as parliamentarians work towards a final agreement. Meanwhile, the national unemployment rate saw a slight increase last month, according to Stats Canada. The job market added fewer positions than anticipated, raising concerns about a potential economic slowdown. Experts are closely watching key economic indicators and anticipate that the Bank of Canada's next interest rate announcement will come later in the month. In other news, a major cybersecurity breach has targeted a large financial institution here in Canada, potentially affecting the personal information of millions of Canadians. Although we do not know which financial institution has been involved or if there is more than one, we will continue to look into this story to get more answers. The company involved has confirmed the breach and is working with authorities to investigate the incident and notify affected customers. This incident has renewed calls for stronger data protection laws and increased vigilance regarding online security. This also is a big concern for a lot of Canadians who have cross-border issues in the United States, whether that's business or real estate holdings or any other cross-border interests, because of the fact that Doge and Elon Musk have access to Canadians' personal information through the the tax treaty programs that we have with the U.S. With Elon Musk and Doge getting into the financial systems at the Treasury, of course, that is breaching international tax treaty laws and privacy concerns for Canadians and others around the world. Finally, discussions are underway between the federal and provincial governments regarding the healthcare funding. Premiers are pushing for increased federal transfers to address growing demands on the healthcare system. A meeting between the Prime Minister and provincial premiers is scheduled for later this week in Winnipeg. Across the border and over the waters, tension remains high in Eastern Europe as the conflict in Ukraine continues. Diplomatic efforts to find a peaceful resolution are ongoing, with the international leaders calling for a de-escalation and a ceasefire. The humanitarian crisis in the region continues to worsen, with millions displaced from their homes. ProPics TV has been there in Ukraine during the war, and it is probably worse than most of you see in your daily news. ProPics TV will continue again to update you on this story and any other developing situations related to Ukraine and Russia. But as we switch gears here, in the Middle East, a fragile ceasefire appears to be holding in the Gaza Strip following recent escalation of violence. International aid organizations are working to deliver much-needed humanitarian assistance to the affected population. However, long-term stability in the region remains a significant concern. Welcome to those just joining us. Please feel free to add comments and your thoughts to the comment section. We always enjoy interacting with the viewers. Now, elsewhere, the economic situation in several South American countries is causing alarm. Rising inflation and political instability are leading to social unrest and mass migrations. International financial institutions and aid organizations are closely monitoring the situation and exploring potential avenues for support. On a different note, scientists have announced a significant breakthrough in the field of renewable energy. Researchers at a leading university have developed a new type of solar cell that is significantly more efficient and cost-effective than current technologies available. The development could have major implications for global transition to clean energy, and we'll have to keep an eye on that as it comes forward. And finally, preparations are underway for the upcoming Global Climate Summit scheduled to take place in Glasgow next month. World leaders are expecting to gather and discuss and commit to further actions to address climate change. The summit is seen as a critical opportunity to accelerate efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and mitigate the impacts of a global warming planet. Of course, that could be a very interesting event given the changes in the political landscape in North America and elsewhere in the world. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as it gets closer and when it happens. Let's take a look now into some more detail of some of our top stories. Now that we've covered the main headlines, we can take a look at a bit more information on some of those topics and others. So right here in Surrey, Canada, and around the world, we like to bring you the latest headlines and information, but also open it up to dialogue with our viewers. So again, if you are watching our live session, by all means, feel free to jump into the chat box there and add some comments. We always love that. Also, love to know where you're logging in from. So if you're in the chat, by all means, feel free to let us know where you are logging in from, and we'll give you a shout out. If you are watching the rebroadcast of this program on any of the platforms, feel free to leave your comments in the comment section, because we do pay attention to those, and we do go forward with bringing them into the program at times. Will.i.am, again, welcome back from Abbotsford. I know that you have tuned in many a time, so welcome back. Glad to have you here. Let's take a deeper look now into the proposed development near the Serpentine Fen. Following the presentation to City Hall of the petition, we've obtained documents outlining the developer's perspective. They argue that the project will bring much-needed affordable housing to the area and create local jobs. However, environmental concerns remain at the forefront for many residents. Dr. Emily Carter, a local biologist specializing in wetland ecosystems, she went on about the potential ecological impact here, and she stated, "Wetlands like the Serpentine Fen are biodiversity hotspots. They provide critical breeding and foraging grounds for a variety of species, including migratory birds and sensitive amphibians. Disrupting these ecosystems through development can lead to irreversible habitat loss and contribute to a decline in local wildlife populations. Furthermore, wetlands play a crucial role in water filtration and flood regulation, functions that would be compromised by this significant encroachment." So again, that has to do with the Serpentine area of Surrey, South Surrey, and White Rock. Now, the city councillor, Michael Lee, is chair of the planning committee, and to get their perspective on this, he has come out with a statement as well. He states that we understand the concerns raised by the community and the environmental groups. Council is committed to a thorough and transparent review process. The environmental impact assessment will be a key factor in the decision making. We also need to consider the growing demand for housing in Surrey and the economic benefits that responsible development can bring. It's about finding the right balance that serves the needs of the entire community. And again, that was a statement by Michael Lee from the city of Surrey. Now, as we mentioned earlier, Surrey RCMP and the Surrey Police Service are investigating a series of break-ins in Newton. Today, police released surveillance footage from one of the affected businesses showing two individuals believed to be involved. You can find that on the Surrey Police Service website if you're interested in taking a gander at that. We'll have that footage available on our website in the future, images and video like that, as we are just tweaking our system to bring the video in as we do the live sessions. In health news, once again, we'll go into a bit more detail about the current wildfire situation in British Columbia. Of course, there are fires already that have been triggered in the interior and up towards Prince George. It is important as the weather warms up that people keep vigilant on fire prevention and fire awareness, and there will be an increase in the fire ratings, risk ratings coming up on May the 1st. Now, the local health, Fraser Health, is urging residents to be mindful of that air quality advisory. And as I said, while conditions haven't worsened significantly, they are reminding the vulnerable to stay indoors through peak hours and avoid strenuous outdoor activities. They also advise against burning wood or other material that could further contribute to the air pollution. And finally, in local news, the Surrey School District is celebrating a significant milestone. Graduation rates for the past academic year reached an all-time high, reflecting the hard work of students, educators, and families. The district highlighted the success of several innovative programs aimed at supporting student achievement and engagement. So congratulations to the City of Surrey, the Surrey School District, and of course all of the students and families who have been working to increase those success rates in terms of the graduation numbers. Now, let's turn to Ottawa. The debate over the federal budget has intensified. Today, the Parliamentary Budget Officer released a report raising concerns about the long-term fiscal implications of some of the government's proposed spending measures. The report suggests that the deficit could be larger than projected if current spending trends continue. This has further fueled the opposition's criticism and added pressure on the government to provide more detailed financial projections. We have a comment here in a statement from Dr. Eleanor Vance about the political impact that has, and she is a political analyst. Now, she says that the PBO's report adds a layer of complexity to the budget negotiations. It provides ammunition for the opposition to challenge the government's fiscal management. The government will need to clarify and clearly articulate the rationale behind its spending priorities and demonstrate a credible plan for long-term fiscal sustainability to reassure both Parliament and the public. And this comes especially true as we are looking at the impacts of trade wars and the geopolitical transitions to looking at trade agreements with countries outside of the United States. Now, the slight increase in the national unemployment rate has prompted a flurry of analysis from economists, and some suggesting that it could be an early indicator of a cooling economy, while others maintain it's a temporary fluctuation in an otherwise healthy job market. We'll be speaking with an economist later in the week to get more information and a more in-depth perspective. Now, as details continue to emerge regarding the cybersecurity breach that we touched on earlier at a Canadian financial institution, the company has yet to release the exact number of affected customers. Sources suggest it could be in the millions. The Federal Privacy Commissioner has launched an investigation into the incident, and class action lawsuits are already being considered, and yet it is still ongoing. The event has reignited the debate over the need for stricter regulations and mandatory reporting requirements for data breaches. That does not apply solely to financial institutions, but all major corporations or all businesses when a data breach is identified and information is compromised. The upcoming meeting between Prime Minister and the provincial premiers on healthcare funding is shaping up to be a crucial one. Premiers are united in their call for a significant increase in the Canada Health Transfer to address growing wait times, staff shortages, and the rising cost of healthcare delivery. The federal budget has indicated a willingness to negotiate, and they've already also emphasized the need for the provinces to demonstrate improved efficiency and accountability in the healthcare systems. That we'll watch is there are some other news reports semi-related to that coming out of Alberta, and we'll bring that up on future episodes here. In other national news, a private member's bill aimed at strengthening consumer protection in online transactions is gaining momentum in Parliament. The bill proposes stricter regulations for e-commerce platforms and increased penalties for deceptive online practices. It has garnered support from consumer advocacy groups and is expected to be debated in the House of Commons next week. That is a big one, folks. More protection when we are shopping online. That is always a good thing, I believe. Now, as we turn our attention back to the situation in Eastern Europe, that is deeply concerning. Despite ongoing diplomatic efforts, there are no signs of an immediate de-escalation in the conflict. We have a special report from our correspondent that'll be coming up this weekend, and that will include some coverage from Ukraine. This will also highlight the devastating humanitarian impact that the challenges are being faced by aid organizations trying to deliver essential supplies to affected areas. Once again, watch for that special report coming up this weekend. Now, the scale of the humanitarian crisis is immense. Millions have been displaced, and access to basic necessities like food, water, and shelter remains a critical challenge. Aid organizations are working tirelessly, but the ongoing fighting and logistical hurdles are making it incredibly difficult to reach those in need. The international community continues to call for a ceasefire and a peaceful resolution, but the path forward remains uncertain. This is further complicated by the Russia heavy settlement and agreements that Donald Trump is pushing, as well as the extortion attempt by Trump to gain access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals. So again, that is adding to the complications in the peace talks for Ukraine. And of course, also looking at the other comments by Donald Trump that are again favoring Russia in any settlement proposal, including Russia maintaining the land in which they have illegally annexed or currently have troops on. So that is a big one because, again, international law prohibits the recognition of the annexation by Russia in any settlement. So that is very important that Russia not be rewarded for their illegal war and their atrocities by giving up that land. That is just not an acceptable option in consideration of people's responses from around the globe, not just Vladimir Zelensky and the Ukrainians, but again, people around the world are saying that giving anything to Russia in terms of land concessions and giving Donald Trump and the U.S. Control over mass amounts of rare earth minerals in Ukraine should be a non-starter for the peace talks. Now, the breakthrough, as I touched on, in renewable energy technology has been announced by researchers, and it's generating considerable excitement in the scientific community. The new solar cell design reportedly achieves significantly higher conversion rates and utilizes more readily available and less expensive materials. If these findings are validated and the technology can be scaled up for mass production, it could represent a major step forward in the fight against climate change. We'll be looking into this and keeping you updated on this technology as we look more into it and hopefully get some of the developers to speak with us on air. Now, this is as the Global Climate Summit in Glasgow approaches, and the agenda is taking shape. Key areas of focus are expected to include accelerating the transition to clean energy, strengthening commitments to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and providing financial support to developing countries to adapt to the impacts of climate change. However, major disagreements remain between nations on the pace and scale of the action required, and there is also a discerning voice or a dissenting voice when it comes to India being recognized as a developing nation and wanting huge amounts in the hundreds of millions of dollars range in order to bring sustainable and renewable energy to parts of India. Now, we know that they are a growing economy, absolutely. They are targeting to be a part of the developed nations in the short term. However, it is questionable when they have space programs and other things why they cannot fund their own environmental challenges that they have. Again, we'll have to watch and see how the global climate plays out there. Now, in other international news, a major earthquake has struck a remote region in Southeast Asia. While initial reports indicate a significant magnitude, the extent of the damage and casualties is still being assessed due to the remote location and limited communication infrastructure in the region. International aid agencies are mobilizing to provide assistance and will continue to monitor that situation closely and bring you updates on tomorrow night's show. Now, let's delve into some of the stories a bit further here that we haven't already. Now, when we look at different stories around the world, we of course look at bringing you different perspectives and different opinions. And as such, of course, that means that we encourage you to be involved in the program. Please feel free to add comments, join the live chat as we go on with the show. We try to encourage everyone to get involved. Now, what we will do in terms of tomorrow night's show is look deeper into the subjects that we've been following. And of course, we'll be looking further into the discussion of the latest unemployment figures in Canada and what they might signal for the Canadian economy. And of course, that is a big jump to the current situation with, or a big leap and joined concern when it comes to tariffs and the cross-border trade. Tomorrow we'll also take a much deeper look at the Surrey Fusion Festival so we can get a sneak peek at this year's event and what attendees can expect. Once again, I will be there during the Fusion Festival this weekend and encourage you that if you are there and see me out there recording or getting images, by all means come up and say hello. It is always welcomed. I always enjoy chatting with people, whether it's online or in person. So again, if you're at the Fusion Festival this weekend, come up and say hello while we're there. That brings us to the end of our show tonight here at ProPics TV News. Thanks for joining us. And again, this has been Live Chat with James. We are coming to you from the ProPics TV studios in Vancouver, British Columbia. And again, encourage you to send your comments, drop your replies and your thoughts in the comment section or email us smile@propicscanada.com. That's smile@propicscanada.com. Take care, everyone. And remember, you can join us on other platforms. This show does repeat on Substack as well as on platforms including YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or X as it's now called. So again, feel free to join us and follow the program. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe so that we can increase our algorithm hits and get out to a wider audience. Once again, folks, this has been James Cousineau from the studios in Vancouver, British Columbia. Take care, stay safe, and thanks for tuning in yet once again.